Hare Krishna. So today we will recite and get his explanation on the Bhagavad Gita verse 2.28. So first I will read the verse and then translation and then one paragraph of the purport which is given by Srila Prabhupada, and then I'll get on to explaining it for a few minutes about what this verse is speaking about. So I'll read. Avyaktadini bhutani व्यक्त्यमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तनिधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना. The translation says, all created beings are unmanifested in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? The Prabhupada purport says, accept that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul and the other not believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet even if for argument's sake we accept this atheistic theory that there is no soul, still there is no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation. Just as from ether, air is generated. From air, fire is generated. From fire, water is generated. And from water, earth becomes manifested. From the earth, many varieties of manifestations come. Take for example a big skyscraper which is manifesting from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in course of time things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation either in the stage of manifestation or in unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle they are manifested, and this does not make any real material difference. Now, such an inclusive purport Prabhupada has given is not only appealing to the devotees who believe in soul, but he is also talking to people who do not believe in soul also. So whether you believe that soul exists or not, still there is no cause for lamentation. Now here Bhagavad Gita is explaining us the difference between soul and material nature. We are not slightly different from the material body, but we are radically different. If we consider soul, then it is Sat, Chit and Anand, eternal, conscious and blissful. But if we see the material body or the material nature, it is Asat, Achit and Niranand. That is Asat, temporary, Achit, unconscious, and Nirananda, it is derived of pleasure. So when we identify ourselves as the body, so this is me and everything that belongs to this body is mine. So when we are in that conception, what will happen is we don't live with the body, but we start living for the body. Now what happens when we start living for the body, thinking that my only job is to satisfy my senses, my job is only to maintain this body. If we are identifying ourselves with that, then we'll start creating suffering for our own self. Because when we start working on a temporary platform, we will be bewildered and we will be getting all the miseries like birth, death, old age and disease. If you consider the soul, it doesn't have birth, death, old age or disease. It is Sat Chit Ananda, eternally existing. Now sometimes we hear that truth is bitter, that truth hurts. But actually if we see from the spiritual platform, the truth that we are not this body, we are soul is so much empowering. Because we look for happiness, but when we come to know that as souls, we are always in a natural state of blissfulness. So that means we need not find the happiness outside. We are already blissful, we are already happy. We are all scared of death. We don't want to die. But when you come to know that you as a soul is eternal, then there is no fear of death. So such an empowering truth that we get from the Bhagavad Gita. Now what happens if we don't know this truth or if we don't live this truth? Take the story of Kamsa. When he heard the celestial voice which said that Kamsa, the eighth son of Devaki, would be going to the cause of your death. And after hearing that, Kamsa was so much attached to his body, he thought that all that he has is him. He has identified himself with the body only. And what happened? He has decided to cut the head of Devaki and to kill her. Why? Because if he kills her, then she will not get her eighth son, so he will be saved. But that time, Vasudev, the husband of Devaki, has given him nice philosophy. He said, Kamsa, don't you know that death is inevitable? Whether it is eighth son of Devaki or eighth son of someone or some other reason, you are going to die. So just because trying to avoid that inevitable thing called death, why you should commit such sinful activity of killing your own sister? Now if we are identifying ourselves with the body, we will do a lot of sinful actions. And because of that, what happens is, rather than we utilizing this body for freedom and happiness, we start using it and create a lot of bondage and misery. Now that is what happening with us. When we identify ourselves as a soul, we will know that we are eternal part and parcels of Krishna, and our dharma is to serve the whole, whose part and parcel are we. Then when we are engaged in the service of Krishna, by chanting his holy names, by reading scriptures that is given by him, by connecting with the devotees, by coming under the Guru Parampara, we will be able to do our eternal dharma. And then we would be able to escape this material reality and get situated in the eternal reality. We are not this material body. We are not something which is getting unmanifested in the beginning or manifest in the beginning, in the middle and getting unmanifested again. We are not this appearance of temporary transformations. We are eternal reality. So when we know this, our life will be different. Now when we associate our life with only this body, then we'll start living for this and we'll create more and more miseries. But instead what we have to do is, we have to identify ourselves as the soul, eternal part and parcels of Krishna, and that will actually liberate us from this body. We did not take birth again, we did not die again. It said that the best thing what you can do in this life is that you will die for the one last time, and after that you should not die again. So our aim should be, we should not take birth again, we should not die again, we should not be subjected to birth, death, old age, blesses anymore. We should be eternally engaged in the service of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So that's what is actually focusing this particular verse, Bhagavad Gita 2.28. Now does that mean that we should neglect our body, we should ignore our body? No, we need this body. Now we have given this body, so we need to keep it healthy so that we can utilize this for the service of Krishna. So whatever it takes to keep ourselves healthy, whatever is required to keep this body in a proper health, that is to be done. But we should not lament for this body. We should not lament for that which is inevitable. We are given this body and we will be taken away from this body. Out of 8.4 million species, we've been given different bodies, and every time the body is given, we are getting attached to that body and thinking that we are that body. So by knowing this, that we are not this body, in this human life, this is a great opportunity to break the cycle of birth, death and old age. And if we are able to practice bhakti and take the shelter of Guru Parampara, then we can actually end this misery for all. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.